Have you ever found yourself trapped in a situation where someone close to you demands things you know deep down are not your responsibility? It starts off innocently enough, a casual request, a simple favor, but before long, you're left carrying the weight of their expectations. This isn't just an inconvenience, it's a slow drain on your emotional well-being, a direct hit to your happiness. Imagine this, you're enjoying your day, perhaps sipping coffee or dreaming about your plans, when suddenly a friend, a family member, or even a colleague appears with a request that feels like a chain being wrapped around your soul. You might think, what's the harm in helping? But let's be clear, there are 5 specific demands that should set off alarm bells in your mind. These are the requests that signal manipulation, the ones that turn you into an emotional ATM or a lifeline for someone who refuses to stand on their own. Each time you say yes, you're not just agreeing to help, you're diminishing your own peace, your energy, and your time. Have you ever felt like a referee in a game you didn't sign up to play? A situation where you're asked to mediate conflicts that don't involve you, only to find yourself in the crossfire of family drama or friend disputes? It's a heavy burden, one that can leave you feeling exhausted and unappreciated. You didn't create the chaos, yet you're expected to resolve it. This is a classic manipulation tactic, designed to make you feel guilty for protecting your own boundaries. Let's not forget the emotional blackmail that often accompanies these requests. How many times have you heard phrases like, "If you loved me, you would help," or "I need you to do this for me"? The moment someone ties your willingness to help to your worth as a friend or family member, it's time to take a step back. This isn't about being selfish, it's about self-respect. You deserve to live your life free from the constraints of someone else's expectations. And here's the kicker, when you finally muster the courage to say no, how often do you feel the backlash? The disappointment in their eyes, the guilt that creeps in, making you second-guess your decision. But let's flip the script. What if saying no is the most loving thing you can do for yourself and for them? By allowing them to face their own challenges, you're not abandoning them, you're empowering them to grow. As we dive deeper into this topic, we'll uncover the 5 things you must flee from when someone asks of you, because at the end of the day, this is your life, your journey, and you have the right to protect your peace. So stay with us until the end. You might just find the clarity you didn't know you were searching for. Remember, you are worthy of a life filled with joy and freedom, not one weighed down by the unreasonable demands of others. Let's get started. Before we continue, if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, go ahead and subscribe now and turn on notifications. So, what do you think? Comment down below. The first demand that should send you running for the hills is when someone asks you to solve their problems for them. Picture this, a friend comes to you venting about their job woes or relationship troubles. You listen, offering your sympathy, but then they drop the bomb. "Can you talk to my boss for me?" Or, "Can you tell my partner how I feel?" Suddenly, you're not just a sounding board. You're expected to step into a role that isn't yours. This isn't about being supportive. It's about them wanting to offload their responsibility onto you. When you take on their battles, you risk losing sight of your own life and your own issues. Remember, they have to learn to navigate their own challenges. You can help guide them, but you shouldn't have to carry their burden. Next up is the classic, "I need you to be my emotional support." This one feels flattering at first, doesn't it? Someone turns to you in their time of need, expressing how much they rely on you. But beware, this can quickly spiral into a never-ending cycle of emotional dependency. When someone demands your constant emotional availability, it's a red flag. You deserve to have your own feelings, your own struggles, without being expected to shoulder someone else's. If they can't find balance, it's time to reevaluate the dynamics of your relationship. You have a right to your emotional space, and you should never feel obligated to be their crutch. Then there's the request that feels almost like a test of your loyalty. "If you really care about me, you'll help me." This kind of manipulation ties your self-worth to your willingness to assist them. It's a slippery slope, and it often leaves you questioning your own value. When someone uses emotional leverage to gain your compliance, it's not love, it's control. Real relationships are built on mutual respect, not on guilt or obligation. If someone cares for you, they will understand your boundaries and not pressure you into compromising your own needs. Another common demand is when someone asks you to change your plans for them. You have a dinner planned with friends, a long-awaited trip, or even just some well-deserved time for yourself, and then they come knocking with a last-minute favor. Can you help me move this weekend? Or, I really need you to attend this meeting in my place. While it's important to be there for others, constantly shifting your schedule to accommodate their needs is not sustainable. You have your own commitments and desires, and it's crucial to honor them. Your time is valuable, and you shouldn't feel guilty for prioritizing your own life. Lastly, we arrive at the demand for personal secrets or private information. When someone pushes you to divulge something personal, whether it's about yourself or someone else, it's a clear manipulation tactic. It creates an atmosphere of mistrust and can lead to toxic situations. If someone insists on knowing your business, it often stems from their own insecurities or need for control. Protecting your privacy is not selfish, it's a fundamental right. You should feel empowered to keep certain aspects of your life to yourself, and anyone who pressures you otherwise is not a true friend. Reflecting on these demands, it's essential to recognize that saying no is not an act of rebellion, it's a declaration of self-respect. Each time you refuse to succumb to manipulation, you assert your own boundaries and your right to happiness. You're giving yourself permission to pursue your own joy without the weight of someone else's expectations. As we continue to explore this topic, remember that your peace of mind is paramount. The more you understand these manipulative requests, the better equipped you'll be to navigate relationships that honor both your needs and the needs of those you care about. Together, we can build a life free from the shackles of unreasonable demands, paving the way for healthier interactions and a more fulfilling existence. As we delve deeper into the intricacies of manipulative relationships, it's crucial to understand that these demands often come wrapped in a veneer of concern or affection. This makes it all the more challenging to see them for what they truly are. When someone approaches you with a request that feels like a burden, it's easy to second-guess your instincts. After all, who wants to be seen as unsupportive or uncaring? But remember, it's not about the appearance of support, it's about your well-being. Let's take a moment to explore a scenario that embodies this manipulation. Imagine a colleague who frequently seeks your help on projects, but not in a collaborative spirit. Instead, they drop their tasks into your lap, insisting that they simply can't manage without you. At first, you might feel appreciated, maybe even flattered by their reliance on your expertise. However, as time goes on, you realize that you're not just helping, you're enabling their avoidance of responsibility. Their dependency on you begins to cloud your judgment, and before you know it, your own work is piling up while they continue to coast along. This dynamic can be insidious, gradually eroding your own sense of accomplishment and leaving you feeling overwhelmed. Now consider the emotional toll that such relationships can take. When someone leans on you for support, it can feel rewarding to be the person they turn to. Yet, when their requests escalate and you find yourself constantly on call, ready to assuage their fears or anxieties, it becomes exhausting. You might start to notice that your own feelings are sidelined. You begin to suppress your own needs, thinking it's just a phase or that it's your duty to be there for them. This is the crux of manipulation, blurring the lines of selflessness and self-sacrifice. Remember, it's perfectly okay to prioritize your mental health, to take a step back, and to recharge. In another instance, think about the situations where someone demands that you change your priorities. Perhaps a friend asks you to skip an important family gathering because they need help with something trivial. Initially, you may feel inclined to oblige, wanting to be the good friend they think you are. But as this becomes a pattern, you start to realize that your own life is being put on hold. You're not just missing out on important moments, you're also neglecting the relationships and activities that bring you joy. The more you acquiesce, the more entrenched this behavior becomes, and before long, it feels impossible to say no without guilt. Guilt, in fact, is a favorite weapon of manipulators. They wield it like a sword, cutting through your defenses and leaving you vulnerable. When someone implies that your refusal to help them equates to a lack of care, they are exercising control over you. It's essential to recognize that genuine relationships are built on mutual respect and understanding, not on guilt or obligation. If someone truly values you, they will respect your boundaries, not push against them. It's also worth noting that the request for personal secrets can often be the most damaging. When someone pressures you to share intimate details about your life or the lives of others, it's a clear indication of their need for control. This behavior can create a toxic environment where trust is compromised. You may find yourself feeling exposed and vulnerable, wishing you had kept certain aspects of your life private. Remember, protecting your personal space is not selfish, it's a fundamental right. Anyone who doesn't respect that isn't worthy of your trust. As we reflect on these dynamics, it becomes clear that recognizing manipulative behaviors is the first step towards liberation. The more you understand the tactics employed by those who seek to control you, the better equipped you will be to stand firm in your convictions. You deserve relationships that uplift you, that allow you to thrive without the weight of others' demands pressing down on you. By saying no, you're not only protecting yourself, but also modeling healthy behavior for those around you. In the end, it's about creating a life that honors your needs while fostering connections that are based on mutual respect and support. Together, we can cultivate a landscape of healthy relationships where everyone's voice is heard and no one feels compelled to carry the burdens of another. As we delve deeper into the nuances of manipulation, let's examine another common tactic, the art of emotional blackmail. This often manifests when someone uses your feelings against you, attempting to elicit guilt or fear to get what they want. Picture someone in your life who frequently expresses disappointment or sadness when you don't comply with their requests. They might say things like, "I thought you cared about me," or "I guess I'm not that important to you." These statements can weigh heavily on your conscience, making it difficult to stay resolute in your decisions. The truth is, while it's natural to want to support those we care about, it's crucial to discern when that support morphs into manipulation. Emotional blackmail is insidious, creeping into the corners of our relationships and distorting them. When you find yourself constantly walking on eggshells, worried about how your actions will affect someone else's mood, it's a clear signal that the balance of the relationship has shifted. Now, let's consider how this dynamic can escalate. When you start to cave in to such pressure, you may notice a shift in your own behavior. You become more accommodating, more willing to sacrifice your own needs for the sake of keeping the peace. Over time, this can lead to a dangerous cycle where your self-worth is tied to your ability to please others. It's essential to recognize that your value is not determined by how much you give or how often you put others first. The impact of these manipulative behaviors can ripple through other aspects of your life. You might find that the stress of navigating these relationships affects your mental health, leading to anxiety, frustration, or even resentment. It's a heavy burden to carry, always feeling like you need to be on for someone else while your own needs are left unaddressed. This is where the importance of setting boundaries becomes paramount. Boundaries are not walls. They are protective measures that allow you to engage with others without losing yourself in the process. Let's explore another red flag, the constant need for validation. There are individuals who consistently seek reassurance about their decisions, their appearance, or their worth. While it's normal to crave support from friends and loved ones, an excessive need for validation can indicate deeper issues. If someone is perpetually fishing for compliments or reassurance, it can become exhausting for those around them. This behavior often stems from insecurity, but it can also be a means of manipulation. By keeping you in a position where you must continuously validate them, they effectively place you in a subordinate role. In these situations, it's vital to recognize that you are not responsible for another person's self-esteem.
While encouragement is a beautiful aspect of any relationship, it shouldn't come at the cost of your own mental well-being. When you find yourself in a cycle of constantly lifting someone else up, it might be time to take a step back. Consider whether the relationship is built on mutual support or if one party is primarily benefiting from the other's emotional labor. Moreover, let's not overlook the request for time and energy that seems disproportionate to the nature of the relationship.
Have you ever noticed someone who demands an inordinate amount of your time for trivial matters while neglecting to reciprocate? This can be particularly evident in friendships, where one person appears to be the perpetual planner, always coming up with activities or projects that require your involvement, yet rarely considers your needs or interests. This imbalance can lead to feelings of resentment and frustration. You may find yourself questioning whether this relationship is truly worth the investment of your time and energy. It's essential to assess whether the dynamic is healthy. Are you genuinely enjoying the time spent together, or do you feel obligated to participate? A healthy friendship should be a source of joy, not a chore. As we reflect on these behaviors, it becomes clear that recognizing manipulation is a critical step towards reclaiming your power. It's about breaking free from the chains of guilt, obligation, and emotional turmoil. Remember, you have the right to prioritize your own needs and to cultivate relationships that are mutually beneficial. Life is too short to be bogged down by the weight of others' demands. In closing, understand that by setting boundaries and standing firm against manipulative behaviors, you're not only protecting your own mental health, but also creating a space where healthy, fulfilling relationships can thrive. You deserve to breathe freely, to engage with others from a place of strength, and to cultivate connections that nourish your soul. As you navigate the complexities of relationships, hold on to this truth. You are worthy of respect, love, and joy, and it begins with you. When I think back to the times I ignored these subtle signs, I can't help but feel a mix of regret and relief. Regret for the moments I allowed myself to be manipulated, to be drawn into the emotional web spun by those who demanded so much but gave so little in return. Relief because I eventually learned to recognize the patterns and break free from their grasp. It's a journey that many of us must undertake, and it begins with an honest evaluation of our relationships. Take, for instance, the individual who constantly makes you feel guilty for not being available. You know the type. They send you a barrage of messages when you don't respond immediately, reminding you of all the times they've been there for you. At first, it might seem like they care deeply, but the underlying message is a manipulation of your emotions. They want to keep you tethered to their needs, all while disregarding yours. It's a tactic designed to make you feel obligated, as if your worth is tied to your availability. Reflecting on my own experiences, I remember a friend who mastered this art. Every time I'd express a desire to pursue my own interests or spend time with others, she would launch into a tirade about how lonely she felt or how much she valued our time together. It didn't take long for me to realize that her affection came with strings attached. I began to feel suffocated, as if my life revolved around her whims and feelings. I had to remind myself that true friendship is not about guilt, it's about mutual respect and understanding. As I distanced myself from that dynamic, I also encountered another red flag, the tendency of some individuals to play the victim. They have an uncanny ability to turn any situation into a personal crisis, demanding your attention and support while simultaneously deflecting any responsibility for their actions. This behavior can be particularly insidious because it pulls you into a cycle of emotional caretaking where your own issues are sidelined in favor of their drama. I once found myself enveloped in the turmoil of a colleague who would often approach me with tales of betrayal and hardship. Each story was more dramatic than the last, and I felt compelled to lend an ear, to offer support. Yet, as I invested my time and energy, I realized that the stories never seemed to change. There was always a new crisis, but the underlying patterns of behavior remained the same. I began to question whether my empathy was being exploited.
The turning point came when I recognized that I was not a therapist or a savior. I had my own battles to fight, my own mental health to protect. It was crucial for me to establish boundaries, not only for my well-being, but also to encourage her to seek the help she truly needed. Manipulators often thrive on the chaos they create, and by choosing to disengage, I was reclaiming my power. Another common tactic among manipulators is the subtle art of gaslighting. This occurs when someone attempts to make you doubt your own perceptions or feelings. They may say things like, "You're overreacting," or "That didn't happen the way you remember." It's disorienting and can leave you feeling isolated and confused. I've experienced this firsthand. I remember a relationship where my partner would dismiss my feelings, insisting that my responses were exaggerated or unwarranted. Over time, I found myself questioning my reality, second-guessing my emotions, and ultimately losing my sense of self. It was a painful lesson, but one that taught me the importance of trusting my instincts. I learned to document my feelings, to speak with trusted friends who could validate my experiences. Recognizing gaslighting was key to breaking free from that toxic cycle. As I share these experiences, I hope to shed light on the insidious nature of manipulation. It often masquerades as love or friendship, but the truth is far more troubling. It's essential to understand that you are not responsible for the happiness or validation of others. Your needs matter, and it's okay to prioritize them. The moment you start feeling drained or obligated, it's time to reassess the relationship. In the end, the journey towards healthier connections is about empowerment.
It's about understanding your own value and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. You are worthy of relationships that uplift you, that nourish your spirit, and that respect your boundaries. As you navigate the complexities of human connection, remember, the power to choose how you engage with others lies within you. Embrace that power and let it guide you toward the fulfilling relationships you truly deserve. As I continue to navigate the murky waters of interpersonal relationships, I became acutely aware of another manipulation tactic that often goes unnoticed: the use of guilt as a weapon. Guilt can be a powerful motivator, and manipulators are adept at exploiting it to achieve their ends. They may say things like, "I thought you cared about me," or "After everything I've done for you, this is how you repay me." These statements are designed to make you feel small, as if your choices are secondary to their feelings and sacrifices. I vividly recall a time when I was caught in this web of guilt. A family member constantly reminded me of the sacrifices they had made for me throughout my life. Every time I wanted to assert my independence or make a choice that diverged from their expectations, I was met with a barrage of guilt-laden comments. It took me a while to realize that their love came with a hefty price tag. I had to confront the uncomfortable truth: my autonomy was being sacrificed at the altar of guilt. Recognizing this manipulation was crucial for me. I learned to stand firm in my decisions, to articulate my feelings without capitulating to guilt. It became clear that true family bonds should encourage growth, not stifle it. By reclaiming my narrative, I not only liberated myself, but also opened the door for healthier dialogue within my family. I found that establishing boundaries and communicating my needs often led to more profound understanding and respect. Another tactic I encountered was the love bombing phenomenon. This occurs when someone showers you with excessive affection and attention in the beginning, only to later reveal a more controlling side. It can be intoxicating at first, making you feel cherished and adored. However, it's essential to remain vigilant. The sudden shifts in behavior can be disorienting, and before you know it, you may find yourself in a situation where your partner's affection comes with demands for your time and loyalty. In my own life, I experienced this with a new romantic interest. At first, he was everything I had dreamed of: thoughtful texts, surprise gifts, and constant attention. But as time went on, I noticed the subtle shift. He began to express discomfort when I spent time with friends or pursued my hobbies. What was once endearing became suffocating. I realized that his affection was not unconditional. It was contingent upon my availability and compliance.
With this realization, I had to make a choice.
I could either continue down the path of relinquishing my independence or reclaim my sense of self. I chose the latter. I began to communicate my feelings openly, drawing clear lines about what I needed in the relationship. This was met with resistance, but it became a pivotal moment where I recognized the power of self-advocacy. As I stood my ground, I learned that love should not feel like a transaction, but rather a partnership built on mutual respect. As I reflect on these experiences, I understand that identifying manipulation isn't always easy. It often requires a level of introspection and self-awareness that can be uncomfortable. However, the more I practiced recognizing these patterns, the more empowered I felt. I began to trust my instincts and prioritize my well-being, even when it meant making difficult choices or having hard conversations. Embracing this journey of self-discovery has taught me that I am not alone in facing these challenges. Many people grapple with the complexities of human relationships and the emotional toll that manipulation can take. It's vital to share these stories, to shed light on the tactics that can ensnare even the most discerning among us. Ultimately, the key takeaway is that we all deserve relationships that are built on trust, honesty, and mutual respect. It's okay to walk away from connections that drain your spirit or leave you questioning your worth. By recognizing the signs of manipulation, you empower yourself to cultivate healthier relationships that nourish your soul. As I move forward, I carry with me the lessons learned from these experiences. I am committed to fostering connections that uplift, inspire, and respect the boundaries that I've worked so hard to establish. It's a journey worth taking, and I invite you to join me in embracing the power within yourself to choose relationships that truly reflect your value. As I stand at this juncture, I can't help but reflect on the journey I've undertaken. There was a time when I would have accepted manipulative behavior as a norm, brushing it off in the name of love or duty. But now, having navigated the labyrinth of emotional entanglements, I feel a profound sense of clarity and strength. It's like emerging from a fog, finally able to see the landscape of my relationships with new, discerning eyes. I've come to realize that manipulation can take many forms, and it often wears the guise of affection, concern, or even obligation. Each of us has a unique story, and while mine may resonate with some, others may find their own truths reflected in different experiences. What remains constant, however, is the necessity of recognizing when the love we receive is conditional, when it serves more to confine than to liberate. In the face of manipulation, I learned the importance of self-respect. I began to prioritize my own needs, realizing that they are just as valid as anyone else's. It's a radical shift, one that requires courage. But with each step I took toward asserting my boundaries, I felt the weight of guilt and obligation lift. The relationships that remained were those built on authentic connections, where both parties felt valued and heard. As I share these insights, I urge you to reflect on your own relationships. Are there patterns that echo my experiences? Are there demands being placed on you that make you question your worth? If so, it's time to take a step back and reassess. Remember, you are not obligated to carry the burdens of others, nor should you feel guilty for placing your needs on the same pedestal as theirs. The journey to reclaiming personal power is not devoid of challenges. There will be pushback, especially from those who have grown accustomed to a certain dynamic. But standing firm in your truth can be transformative. It sends a message that you are deserving of love that does not come with strings attached. It cultivates a space for authentic dialogue, where vulnerability is met with empathy rather than manipulation. As I continue to navigate my relationships, I am committed to fostering an environment where open communication thrives. I strive to practice what I preach, ensuring that my love for others is not only expressed, but also grounded in mutual respect. I've found that this approach not only strengthens my bonds, but also encourages those around me to reflect on their own behaviors and motivations. In closing, I want to emphasize that the path to healthy relationships is a continuous journey. It requires self-awareness, patience, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths. But it is a journey worth embarking on.
Each step taken toward recognizing and addressing manipulation not only empowers you, but also contributes to a broader culture of respect and understanding. So, as you move forward, carry these lessons with you. Embrace the power you have to choose relationships that align with your values. Surround yourself with those who uplift you, challenge you in positive ways, and respect the boundaries you've set. By doing so, you will not only enrich your own life, but also inspire others to seek out the same clarity and strength in their own connections. Let us collectively break free from the chains of manipulation, creating a tapestry of relationships that are vibrant, honest, and fundamentally supportive. Together, we can cultivate a world where love is not a weapon used to control, but a force that liberates and empowers us all.